Thank you for ordering the home study course. Watch this videotape at your own pace, complete the discussion questions, and take the course exam.
The concept of therapeutic humor is not new. It goes back to the years of the jesters. But now the media resources, and these are some handouts you're going to get during the break, the New York Times, April of 1988, just had an article on personal health and effects of humor. So I want to today cover first of all, the destructive forms of humor, because anything that has constructive benefit also has potential to have destructive potential. We want to build some humor techniques. A lot of you already are using some of these techniques, and I hope that I can give you some more building blocks to help you in your own lives and in the lives of your patients. First of all, let's start with the negative to get it out of the way. These are some forms of destructive humor. And as you look through them, slander, ridicule, sarcasm, satire, teasing, exclusive humor, malicious humor, practical jokes, sexual humor, and ethnic humor. Any of you ever felt some of these forms of humor, especially sarcasm from a teenager who might be a little bit angry, right? Well, I want to just give you a little personal insight on myself. Y'all have known me here for about 7 years. But when I was a small child, I come from a family of very obese parents. My dad was 360 pounds with one leg. My mother is about 200 pounds and 5 feet tall. So genetically, I followed suit, and through junior high school, and especially elementary school, I was very, very fat. Some of you had the opportunity to see me pregnant, saw just how fat I can get. But I was 200 pounds during that period. But as a child, I was teased. I was wearing glasses, and I was called Fatty Four Eyes, Pig Face. Miss Piggy wasn't around yet, or I would have been called that too. It was very exclusive. It was very painful. So I just want to point out that teasing and destructive forms of humor can be very detrimental. I used to try to take candy to school, and as long as I had the candy, I was able to have the friendships. When the candy ran out, so did the friends. And then I took money, I took pennies, and then my parents kind of caught on to that and wouldn't let me take that anymore. So on my way home from school, I stopped in this little shoe repair shop, and it was a way to hide from the other children so that they wouldn't tease me. And he started noticing, the little shoe repair man, that I didn't have a lot of friends. And he said, you know what? He said, laughter is the best medicine. He said, if you can start telling a riddle or a joke every single day, the kids are going to like you. And I didn't believe it because I had just gotten very isolated myself. So he started equipping me. He was my mentor. And every day I'd go into his shop before I went to school, and I would take a new riddle. Simple things, like what goes up when the rain comes down, an umbrella. And the kids would then every day gather around to find out what the joke was going to be. And then in junior high school, I somewhat became a class clown. And I did things, every day I got more creative, putting like alarm clocks in my purse and letting it go off in the middle of geometry class. And then when I got into college and into nursing school was when I realized the therapeutic value. And it was when I was seeing patients in the hospital who were depressed and down that I learned that by using humor in a hospital setting, that you could alleviate some of their pain and distress. What I want to do right now is take a look into our biological senses. How many of y'all want to see, raise a hand? How many wear glasses? Raise your hands. Okay. You can't see that. Good, good. Okay. Our senses are our own inborn way to perceive our environment. And when your vision becomes distorted, you're able to wear glasses or wear contact corrective lenses in order to restore your vision. And with our patients, a lot of our patients start losing their hearing perception. They can go to the doctor in many cases and get a hearing aid to correct that. And it goes on down, the sense of touch. You don't realize how much you've missed that right arm until you've broken it, and you have to learn to write with your left arm. Or how to walk with a walker after you've fractured a hip. You realize the sense of touch when you've lost it quite frequently. Our sense of taste. Any of you ever gone and had Novocaine in your mouth for dental work, and your tongue is half numb and you can't taste anything? It's a very odd sensation. And then the sense of smell. I suffer from allergies. Anyone else have allergies? Yeah. And if you can go and get antihistamines or go to an allergist and get shots if you start having some allergy problems. And then our sense of humor. When children are very small, in fact, at 2 weeks of age, you can get an illicit smile from an infant. And then when they start growing, and since I have a 2-year-old, I can really look at her in a different perspective now because she can find humor in everything. A little box. I mean, you buy them birthday presents and Christmas presents, they want the boxes, and it's true, you know. And then when they get into elementary school, they role play. And they start finding humor in the playing roles of mommy and daddy and store. As we become adults, we start facing financial responsibility. We start feeling the stress of life, and all of a sudden we start losing the perception of our sense of humor. Life becomes very serious at times. And as our patients, as nurses, as your patients are sick and in the hospital, pain is a barrier to a good sense of humor. If you're in pain, it's very hard to laugh. Well, that's why I want to be here today, and one of my real functions in the role of therapeutic humor is to help give you these tools to build humor in your lives and in the lives of your patients. Hiding back here is my humor first aid kit. And I'm going to set it up here so you can all see this. Okay. Now, what I want to do with this first aid kit is, first of all, before we get into it, I want to tell you that many hospitals throughout the country, and there's one right now in New Jersey, every nursing station has a humor basket or a humor bag on every floor of the hospital. It's a pilot program, and they have been very successful. So some of the items that I'm going to bring out are going to be ideas of what other humor rooms are doing. First of all, we're all nurses. We went into nursing because we want to help people. I think every single person went in because we want to help people. And we love our professions, but at times it gets to us. We do some very, very difficult things with patients, especially in our field of home health. When you've got a lot of geriatric patients, you've got a lot of patients who are dying. And I want us to look at the quality of life. There's no reason that these people that are on their end stage of life can't have a little bit of fun too. And these are some ideas and techniques. But occasionally when life gets us down, we have to change our caps. And we have to put on a different cap. And this is a little baseball cap that I just love. And it says, "Am I having fun yet?" Okay? You have to ask yourself that. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is your life. And if you're not having fun in your life, you need to find some ways to incorporate some more fun in your life. And so we're going to get into that. I'm going to start setting these out. During the break, you're welcome to come through and look at the different items. And I'd like to suggest one idea is to become a cut-up. What I want you to do with scissors, or have your patients do with scissors, is start cutting out those cartoons or funny stories and either send them to somebody that's sick, take them around to somebody that you might want to perk up for that day, or you could start a cartoon album that you could either keep in your car and have available if you have a patient that's down the dumps, or in an office situation, if you needed someone in a waiting room, have a cartoon album out. Select the ones that are pertinent to you. This one is from Family Circus, and I feel it's important. It's a little boy talking to the mother. It says, "What else did I do that was funny when I was little?" Kids love to know what they did that was funny when they were little. This one is particularly interesting for the medical people. This is from the editorial cartoons. It's a doctor on the telephone. He says, "Take 2 aspirin and see me after the malpractice reform." Isn't that the truth? So you can send these out, but do start a cartoon album and become a cut-up. One very important item for starting a humor room or a humor basket is to have some resource materials. This is a book called Funny Bone by Dr. Herb True. He is with the University of Notre Dame. He's written several books, but this is somewhat of a joke book, which I have many of in my file, and you can maybe perk up an office by having a Joke for the John book. Leave them in there. They're just going to sit there anyway. Give them something to read. I'll just take one or two out of Dr. True's book. It says he's at the age where being on speed means drinking prune juice. Okay, and then another one. This is all on aging since we work with the elderly, but he has these in this particular one on marriage and business and management. There's a lot of different ones. Getting old is merely a matter of feeling your corns more than your oats. Okay, but you do need to have a library of resources. You need to collect them so that you can go to them when you need them. I also recommend that you at least find one or two good stories every day, first thing in the morning, and then take them with you the same day. We see 6 to 8 patients every day, so you can use that same story again and again and again because it's a different person, and it'll really, really brighten the days of the patients. We're in a video age, so I recommend a lot of our patients, some of them don't, but a lot of them have videos available, VCRs. This one happens to be Carol Burnett, and she attracts people at all age groups. There's a lot of videos that are available that are on a rental basis, but I also want you to think about yourself. You need to start thinking, I want you to think about this as we go through the day. What tickles your own funny bone? Are there comedians that make you laugh? And think of who and what makes you laugh so that you can build your own self up a little bit. And TV programs, if you have a favorite TV program, be sure to watch it. It's important for you. Because if you're happy, then you can do a lot more for the patients that you're taking care of. I swore after I got married I was never going to write thank you notes again. But as we all know, when we have a patient that maybe has taken a little bit extra effort to write you a thank you for your services, it really kind of makes you proud that you've done a good job. Well, we need to do the same thing. If you've had, say, a waitress who's done a really good job, make their day. Say, hey, you really did a good job. They can't read your mind. And a lot of times with our spouses and our children, if they've done something really particularly good, you just let it slide. For instance, when my husband unloads the dishwasher, I tell him he did a good job, you know, because I want that reinforcement, and it's important. Inner office. I know there's some people here from offices. Sometimes there's conflict in inner office. Putting in some joke humor or some positive reinforcement will help inner office problems to work themselves out a little bit. Clowning around. This is my little clown. Clowns have been around for years and years and years. In the circuses, they bring out the clowns when they change the scenes, in order to change the scenes. At New York, I had the opportunity to go into an area where they had some people who've been given money for research projects. This one woman who spoke had been given the research funding. She has a school for abused girls, either physically or sexually abused. Their ages go from 8 to 18. And they use their funds for a 1-week class on humor. They had a 45-minute class every week, and they started off having the humor therapy be painting their faces as clowns. And then they started getting into it and having fun with it. So as an outing, they took the girls to a nursing home. This one girl that was in the class, 12 years old, had been severely abused, very isolated, very withdrawn, would not talk to people. And in the class, she started putting stars on her cheeks and putting all her personality characteristics that she admired in people into this clown, which she named Starry. They went to the nursing home, and Starry was the most outgoing clown of the whole group. She was in there with the patients and cheering them up and really making them feel good. The class has been in session for 6 months, and now that they gave the demonstration and speech on, she has been able to incorporate Starry's personality characteristics into her own, so that she doesn't have to be in the clown makeup in order to be outgoing and to talk to people. So humor therapy programs are really starting to show the beneficial value. So I just wanted to point out the importance of clowning around. This is what I keep on my desk at home. Andy, the social worker, has one on his desk, so you have seen it. It says smile. It's the second best thing you can do with your lips. And he guesses for number 1. The best, Joe should know that. It takes 16 muscles to smile, and it's very, very good exercise for your face to smile. As nurses, it can tell patients that you care for them. It gives acknowledgement and understanding and love. So giving a smile is really important. I did a presentation for a management group at Home Shopping Channel. They met me at the door with a guard and took me through this computer room, and then I went into this executive boardroom. It was one of the first presentations I had given. I go into this room, and it's all these elderly gentlemen in three-piece suits who don't look like they have smiled much in their life. And I'm there with my first aid kit, right? Okay. So I go in there, and I'm sitting there waiting for my introduction thinking, how did I get involved with this? I did the presentation for this group, and they taught me something very important. They do a lot of telephone sales. And they said that they have a motto at Home Shopping Channel, a smile can be heard. And I had never thought of that. A smile can truly be heard on the telephone. So think about that when you're talking on the telephone to some maybe angry doctor. We've all been sitting for quite a while. I want everybody to stand up, and we're going to do a little exercise here. So everybody up. Now, first of all, what I want you to do is face the windows. And I want you to come up to the person in front of you, put your hands on their shoulders. Everybody needs to do this. Joe, wait. Okay. Now, I want you to squeeze. Squeeze those shoulders. Come on. Yeah. Come on, we're nurses. Yeah, let's give them some back rub. Now, hold on. Okay, now reverse it. Reverse it. All right. I love it. I'm going to get in on this too. Okay, I'm timing it now. Okay, great. Okay, now, stand up, stay up. You've been sitting all day. Have you ever seen these little boxes? Okay, we're going to all laugh. I want you to face each other. I want you to get in groups of 2s and 3s. I want you to face each other. I don't care what you have to do. All right, Joe. We're going to get everybody laughing. Just wait a minute. We're only going to do it for 15 seconds. If somebody can go for 30 seconds, I've got a prize. Okay? But I am going to time it. I'm going to blow the whistle, and those who can go on a little bit longer laughing will get a prize. Okay? But then after we get done, we're going to talk about the seriousness of what you just did. And I've had all these corporate executives, everyone's done it. You can use your hands, you can do anything you can, including tickling, to make a person laugh. 15 seconds, all right? Get on your mark, get set, go! Dorothy and Joe, you're still laughing. Okay, that's great. I promise. Okay. Dorothy, this is just a starter. All right. Very good. You can all sit back. You can all sit back down again. Oh, that's great. Now, as a group of nurses, what did you just do for yourself? You released tension. Anybody else? What did you just do physiologically? We're going to talk about the physiology of laughter for a moment. You exercise your lungs.
Circulation.
You increase your circulation. You raise your endorphin level. Great. I don't even need to show the slide. I got to share this before I turn on the slide to kind of go over it with you. I did this workshop at Mies a few weeks ago, and it was all ladies, and we got laughing just like this. And one lady raised her hand. She said, "I just wet my pants." I just love it. I love it. Laughter is so good for us. All right, this is just an outline to tell you a little bit of what healthy humor, which is the name of my workbook, stands for. And this is the physiological, the healthy, and the humor are the psychological effects of humor. It does. Your heart gets stimulated. You promote your circulation. You're waking up now. And I tell corporate audiences that if they can get their secretaries laughing at coffee breaks, they're going to get more oxygen circulating, and they're going to think a little bit more clearly. You're sitting there all day long. You start breathing less deeply, and laughter will promote and will make you feel better. It tones your muscles. That's one item that didn't come up when you all were talking about it. Your abdominal muscles. How many of our patients have problems with constipation? Get them laughing, okay? It will. It exercises your abdominal muscles. No, Dr. Fry has written many books and is our primary researcher on the effects of the physiology of laughter. And he has some statistics that have been proven. And that is, if you can laugh, an average person laughs 15 times a day. That's an average person. If you can increase your laughter and laugh 100 to 200 times a day, it's equivalent to 10 minutes on a rowing machine. Think about that. 10 minutes on a rowing machine. So if you can laugh more, physiologic, especially the abdominal muscles, it's really good. And we did see some mirthful laughing here today. Okay, that was great. You guys are a great group. On a more serious note, I love bumper stickers. And this one is, don't take life so seriously. It's only a temporary situation. I think all of us can appreciate that. No, you can't have that. You can borrow it anytime you like. Steve Allen has made a formula which I think is very relevant. It says tragedy plus time equals comedy. If you reflect back in your own lives, some of the most tragic situations can be somewhat comical at times. A lot of us at the age of 30, we stop living because we're so burdened with the stresses of life. Okay? I'd like to point out one situation, which is one of Carol's patients. There's times when you can turn a negative situation into a positive situation through the use of humor. One man was in a tornado. He wrecked his car during the tornado. This was up north, and it was in the newspaper. And, I mean, he wrecked his car. That's pretty tragic, if any of you have ever even gotten a ticket. He's standing outside of his car holding a sign, and he's waving at everybody. And his sign on his car, in front of his car, says compact car. Okay? So that's taking a negative situation and turning it around to make it something comical. That's very hard to do, and it takes a lot of practice. But I had a patient I was going to tell you about that I was seeing of Carol on the weekend. This man was dying of cancer of the bladder, I believe, but he was very, very sick. He was contractured, and the night before I got there, he had gone to the emergency room and had to have a catheter inserted. And his wife was in her 80s and unable to get him out of bed. And Polly's seen this patient too. And so when I got there, the patient was in a lot of agony. He had to use the commode. He had to get to the essentials of life and move those bowels. And he could not use the bedpan. His wife said, I just can't lift him. So I said, well, I'll help you. So Joe, if you come here for just a minute, I just need somebody to show. Okay. This really happened, and it's a story that I don't share very often.
What are you going to do to me?
Just relax, Joe. So,
bend over?
Okay, so you know how you do your transfer technique? The patient's on the side of the bed, and he's sitting. Now, pretend like you're sitting. Yeah, okay.
Sit. Give me a bone, I'll sit.
Okay, good. Okay, so we get him on I start to lift him to turn around, and he has the catheter, and bright red blood starts flowing down the catheter.
Oh, my God.
That's what he said. He started to turn pure white. He was about ready, the eyes to roll back. I was about ready to lose him. As a nurse, I knew that what I had to do was apply pressure. I have never shared this with a group before.
Hold that camera for 1 minute. Can I take a deep breath? Okay, I'm ready for anything now. Okay.
So, he had a washcloth on the bedside table. I grabbed the washcloth and I clamped that baby.
Well, I bet you did. Look at that. What a grip on this girl.
We're transferring over to the commode.
Yeah.
You can get it, go this way a little bit, to the side. Okay, and he's about ready to faint on me. I've got the pressure on. I said, if my husband could see me now.
Yo.
And he got laughing. I got laughing because it was a very embarrassing, frightening, panicky situation for both of us. I was as scared as he was because I was afraid I was going to lose him. So the whole time he's sitting on the commode, I still am afraid to let go because I'm afraid he's going to start to hemorrhage on me.
It's starting to hurt now. Just a little. It's getting hot, too.
You can go sit down. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Anyway, so the whole time I just played on to the fact that, we nurses will do anything in our job. And we both kept laughing. His wife was laughing. We were all just cracking up because of the panic situation. Well, to give a backup a little more into the story, 2 weeks later, I went back to their house, and he was already in a coma. I mean, he was not long to be with this world, and his family was here from California. And he was very, very, very bad. And I sat with the family, and I was going over some of the grievance procedures and telling him to be sure to talk to him because he still maybe could hear him. His wife claims that when she told him the blonde nurse came that he got a smile on his face. I don't know if that's true or not. I was flattered anyway. But we were sitting around the table and talking in the other room, and the wife was in the kitchen, and she said, "Leslie, tell him what happened with their father last week." I said, "No, I can't tell him. I mean, they had a son that was my age and things." And she said, "Oh, please, please." So anyway, I told the story. And the son said, "How do you sign up for this service?" And I quickly responded. I said, "Well, you have to have Medicare." And the wife from the kitchen says, "Son, you have the same name as your father. Do you want to borrow his card?" But dealing with life and death situations, as we do every day, we've got to take life less seriously. You have to be able to find the humorous side in a negative situation. There's always going to be both sides. You may have to stand back and think about it for a while. Another idea that I'd like to give you is to start keeping a notebook in your purse, in your wallet, so that when you do see something or hear a joke, that you can write it down. Because most of us can't remember a joke. If you don't write it down, you're not going to be able to remember it. I keep this one on hand. It says, "Grin and ignore it." For me, that helps because I have some rough times too. I keep it in different files with signs. Some of you who work in Largo may have seen this sign. It just cracked me up. I'm going to sometime hopefully go back and take a picture of it. It's a sign on a tree, and it says, "Alterations, men and women, call Lou." This day and age, that means a lot more than what it did a few years ago. At a patient's home, I copied this from her refrigerator because I thought it was so special. It says, "A happy kitchen full of laughter feeds the soul a long time after." And so you can gain a lot from your different patients. Caution, black hole. I keep this on my office at home. But it's important to decorate. I just have this out. To decorate your car, since you're in your cars a lot, your home. In the hospitals, what we're working on there are bulletin boards. And on the oncology unit at Morton Plant, they had a humor board at one point, and the patients would sometimes only come out of their rooms to go see the new comic strips or the new funnies that were on the bulletin board. So decorating sometimes will help to put a little more humor in the environment. These are my very special comic vision glasses. And these are twofold. One is humor is in the environment everywhere. I just told you about the sign. Bumper stickers, a plumber's truck that I think some of you may have seen. I have seen it and it cracks me up. And on the back bumper sticker it says, "A flush beats a full house." Okay? Some of you are a little slower than others, but also what I'd like to do with the glasses is 5 minutes out of every day, take yourself and pretend that you're on candid camera, especially if you've had a very difficult situation. And just put on your comic vision glasses and think You know, what would Alan Funt do with this situation that I just came out of? I know some of you had rough days today. Another thing that the glasses point out as representative of are the exaggeration. See, the nose is exaggerated. As teenagers, we have a real problem in Pinellas County. Pinellas County has the highest suicide rate of all the counties in Florida. And that's frightening to me. And I know that as teenagers, when you have a pimple on your face or a nose that's out of proportion to the rest of your body, or your limbs are longer than the other, it's embarrassing. I always had fat legs. I'd never go to the beach parties. I'd stay home so that I wouldn't have to. But if you can teach a teenager or a small child or even yourselves to be able to laugh at yourself first, that's the greatest lesson that we can learn today. If you can laugh at your own possible problems. As a teenager, if you can say, oh, I've got a zit today, I'll be okay tomorrow. You know, if you can laugh it off, you're not going to take life quite as bad as it can sometimes pour onto us. Goofing around is what I do best. No. This is my goofy hat, which says sometimes we just have to be a little bit goofy. We need to invite humor so that other people know that they can kid with you and tease with you a little bit. I also encourage buttons. This is my button collection on the back, and many of you know that on my uniforms, frequently I wear different buttons. One of my favorite ones is, especially in geriatrics, when your memory goes, you can forget it. Okay, I like that one. See, they're a little slower in the back. One that your memory's gone, okay. One that I wear when I've had a bad time with my 2 little girls at home, and the phone's been ringing and all these things have been going crazy. There's one on here that I just love. It says, housework is a drag. And if I wear it when my husband comes home, he doesn't even need to ask. We're going out for dinner that night. A story that I will tell, this is interesting since we have so many here that I've worked with. Carolyn and I were a little goofy once, and it was Halloween Sunday. Carolyn and I happened to go to the same church, and it's advertised that it's a non-denominational Christian church that we love and accept everybody. So we decided to play a little trick or treat on the minister. And the minister's daughter actually gave us the idea, so it wasn't just our planning. So we decided to dress up as Catholic nuns to come join the Christian church. So we were in the back of the church in the bathroom and getting our habits on. And we made sure no one was joining the church that day because, in all seriousness, we would not have wanted to hurt it for anybody who was planning to join that day. But the minister's daughter assured us that it was a good Sunday to do it, and it was Halloween Sunday. So they're on the last processional hymn. If anyone's going to, they're singing away, and Carolyn and I, one was in white and one of us was in black. We come walking down the aisle, and each aisle that we passed of people were like quiet. They stopped singing because what are these nuns doing here? So, and even the minister, you have these little habits on. All he could see were our eyes. Yeah, we had our. Yeah, so we get up to the front of the church, and the minister was like, what? And then finally he recognized us and knew that something was a little bit crazy. And I whispered, I said, this is Happy Halloween, and this is Sister Salt, and I'm Sister Pepper. So he introduced us to the whole congregation. And then it was wonderful. We all went out. The whole church laughed. It was the best Sunday in a long, long time. Yeah, we walked out. Come here, Carolyn. Come here. Here's my sister Salt. Okay, and then after we walked out, tell them that everybody kissed us.
Everybody kissed us. It was a huggy, kissy church.
Yeah,
anyway.
and one fella, I don't know if you got this, one man said, I've never kissed a nun before. This is
I know, and they loved it. And they wanted to kiss us because they thought, you know, they wanted to believe we were nuns.
So sometimes just acting a little bit goofy is fun. It's contagious. The whole church got a lot of fun out of it. So I don't recommend that you do it if you've got somebody that may not have the same sense of humor. You kind of have to find out where people are at, because you don't want to get into those destructive forms of humor. You don't want to tease or poke fun at anyone, but if you can do it in a gentle manner, you will really be amazed at the effects. Any of you have pets? Dogs, cats, gerbils? Okay, this is little Odie, and he represents in my humor bag the effects of animals. Many nursing homes. There's one in St. Petersburg that has a pet dog now that's part of the program because pets can allow people to let loose. I know in our family that we've dressed our dog up for birthdays, put the birthday hat and had a candle, and the dog next door is our dog's mother, and they bring over a dog bone for Mother's Day. So anyway, pets are a good way of letting out some tension and some humor that you might not be able to do with other human beings. So having an animal is sometimes helpful. This little Odie also represents the importance of cartoons. I mentioned cartoons earlier, but cartoons take the blame off of somebody else and can put it into a cartoon form, and it's not going to offend anybody. You might be able to get a point expressed through cartoon characters. Mirror imaging. Mirror imaging is very, very important as far as helping people to get out of their gloom and doom. As we know, when patients are sick and depressed, they're poor me, poor little old me. And they start just getting worse because they're focusing only on those negatives. And if you can do some gentle mirror imaging, verbally or non-verbally, like say my 6-year-old, when she's pouting, the lip goes out. If I do it right back to her, she laughs. She sees how funny she was acting. So if we can do it gently with patients who are walking real slowly and really down in the dumps, and if you can do it gently with them, you're going to be able to break it a little bit. Mirror imaging is also important because how many of you look in the mirror every morning? Hopefully all of you. Okay. Okay. It's important when you're putting on your makeup that you smile. See what your face looks like when you smile. Practice some different ones because how often do you exercise your face? It's one time you can exercise your face and get by with it. Your facial muscles. It'll reduce some of those wrinkles that we don't want to get. Now, when I did some of the aid groups, if you can be working with your patients and you're shaving them, having them make funny faces, you make the funny face at them and they'll make the funny face back. Mirror imaging is very, very valuable. And also look in the mirror and say, how can I take this face seriously? It's important. But really, I do recommend the mirror imaging. Again, it takes a lot of practice to work with it. Okay. Coupons. Coupons. Any of you into the coupons? Double coupons at Albertsons and Winn-Dixie? Now, everybody is different, but a coupon book in some situations can be valuable. And you can make your own, which is what we do at our house. Coupon good for laughs. And for my daughter, who's now learning to talk back, hand me this, and I won't say I told you so. Okay? So these are just ideas that you can do. So yeah, that back is a little bit slow, but this one I think a lot of you can relate to. Hand me this, and I won't say, but everyone else's parents let him do it. Haven't we all heard that before? So, but if you give these in advance, and then when the kid or yourself are stressed out, they bring you this, it breaks that tension. It breaks that tension. And they learn the tricks as well as you do of how to break the parent's tension. All of us have to teach people how to take their medications and how to set up their routine of medications. And in the hospitals, we distribute them. I carry a special one. It's called Horny Helpers. Okay? And especially if I have to do a catheterization or something that's unpleasant to somebody, I can take these out and say, I'm going to ease the pain. This isn't going to hurt a bit. And I'll read this to them, and they get laughing, and I can just slip it right in. It doesn't hurt at all. But I'll read you what Horny Helpers say, since you can't see it. It says, plagued with lust, have trouble keeping your hands to yourself, little horns growing on your head, take Horny Helpers. So as nurses, sometimes, here, Joe. They're non-refillable. One time will do it. These are just, again, gag things that you need to keep on hand if you should happen to need it at some time. If you would like to, afterwards I'll tell you where you can get some of these items. Because a lot of places, especially at the hospital now, are developing baskets and bags. And I hope, which we'll get into later, that some of these ideas you'll take with you and have available. We all work in geriatrics. Have any of our patients ever lost their teeth? Okay. Have you ever wondered when you worked in a hospital or nursing home what they did with all those spare dentures that they never could find? Well, now you know. They make ice tongs out of them. But a lot of our patients I've seen, they won't eat. They start losing the weight because they've lost so much weight that the gums aren't fitting their dentures the same. So while they're in their depressed mode, if you had this in your back pocket and you happen to, just want to tease them and brighten them up a little bit, say, well, I can loan you mine, okay? So this is just an example of gags, but gently, gags can be a lot of fun, and it can, again, break that poor me. Okay. This is a tickling stick. You might think it was a duster, but this is literally a tickling stick. And more with children than with adults. Now, whatever you and your spouse or partners like to do is up to you. But children love to be chased and tickled. And I just wanted to bring this out as a form of a reminder that a feather can, remind you that tickling is sometimes fun. It's good exercise too, isn't it? So, I love to poke a little fun at Joe. Humor is very individual. Now, the next thing I'm going to bring out, I really don't think it's that funny, but everyone seems to like it. And again, I'm just showing you what are in humor baskets throughout the country. And this was in New York, and they say it's a real favorite through the hospitals, but to me, I just don't find anything that funny about a rubber duck. And I asked a group, I was working with a group of children, and I said, what is so funny about a rubber chicken?
Like a swine, actually.
Yeah, and one of the kids came out and said, well, it should make you better because chicken soup makes you better. And this represents some chicken soup. But anyway, I just don't see a lot of humor in the rubber duck. But if you're going to make a humor basket, they do recommend that you have a rubber duck. I guess some patients like to put it under their sheets and pull it out as a gag to people. But really. Jokes. I really don't spend a lot of time talking about jokes because jokes, there was a conference that I went to where they did a study between candid humor, just natural wit, versus joke telling. Joke telling becomes very old. If you've been around somebody who just joke, then it kind of gets tiring. Whereas the natural stories that we've portrayed today with the patient and making a negative situation to a positive, the natural stories really provoke more laughter. If you are going to tell jokes, let me give you a few tidbits. Don't announce that you're going to tell a joke, because if it bombs, nobody has to know the difference, okay? That's important because a lot of times you'll start to say one, and then you may forget the punchline, and it kind of gets embarrassing. You also need to be sure you check your audience, check their currency, and if they might be offended by a joke, throw it out. What I have done, and many of you who follow patients I've seen, is I solicit material from my patients. They always want to give you things. And as you know, we could lose our jobs if we take a gift. And as a patient, now that Karen's here, I'll share this story. It's two sisters that Karen and I saw, and I think Carolyn might have seen these two sisters as well. One sister was dying with cancer, and she had a deep abdominal wound infection, abscess that we had to pack, and a new colostomy. Both sisters were gloom and doom. I walked in that house, besides the fact that the odor was just prevalent all over the place, a lot of what we see, and the two sisters were scared to death. First of all, a new colostomy, second, a packed wound. They didn't look like they had smiled very much, and I was working the weekend. So while I was in working, and I had my sterile gloves on, and I just couldn't stand that silence. For me to be in that silent gloom and doom, death is over, aura everywhere. I just said to them as I'm, working, I said, you two are sisters. What state can count more than 9? And they looked at each other and wondered what I was doing. I said, 10, Tennessee. And it caught them because it was clean. I knew I had to go clean with those sisters. And so they were walking me to the door, the one that could walk, the other was bedbound. And she said, you really helped us. Her name was Emma Bell. And she said, you really helped us today. And I just want to give you something. It was near the holidays. I said, I'm not allowed to take anything. The best thing you can ever give me is a good story or a good joke, something humorous. So I left, and about 2 or 3 weeks later, when I had the weekend schedule again, I went back there. And this time, they were less gloomy and doomy. They'd kind of come to acceptance a little bit more. And they're walking me to the door, and I had forgotten that I had said anything to them about that I liked jokes. So they're walking me to the door, and Emma Bell says, Leslie, did you hear about the Sunday school teacher who was chasing her boyfriend around the church? And I said, no. She said she caught him by the organ. You never know what kind of humor is going to come out of these patients. And it was amazing. I started laughing. She started laughing. It was great. The following time I went back, Anna, who was in the bed, very sick, she topped that one. And I was in there working and sterile, almost lost my sterile procedures. And she said, did you hear about the 2 angels who got kicked out of heaven? I said, no. She said, they were trying to make a profit. I lost touch with them because, unfortunately, Anna did pass on. And Emma Bell went on her merry way. And as you know, when we discharge patients, we don't really see them ever again. Last November was probably one of the most exciting days in my life. I had my assignment for patients, and I went out. I didn't know who they were because it's always a mystery to me. And I knocked on the door at Top of the World, and Emma Bell answered the door. I hadn't seen her in 5 years. This is a true story. And she saw me, and I saw the name was Emma, but, you know, there's a lot of Emmas in our field, so I didn't think about it. We hugged each other. She had had a pacemaker implanted, and that's why we were going to see her. And when I was in talking to her and doing her admission workup, she said, I want to let you know that you helped to change my life. And I was already doing humor workshops, and I didn't understand what she meant. She said, I've had more fun in these last 5 years than I had in the whole 80 beforehand. She joined a kitchen band, so she's now with the Top of the World kitchen band. She has a network of friends that she calls every morning and passes on a joke to. She does her research every morning and has all these friends, and they expect to see a joke. And many of you who know me, for instance, will know that you can always find a joke or some form of humor from me. It may be corny, but it could be a good one too. It just depends what day I happen to have a good one or a bad one. But anyway, that was a true story which really touched my heart. And in my workbook, I've called it the Prim and Proper Sisters. And so November of this last year, I saw Emma Bell, and we are still in contact. Jokes are risky. This is a game of jokes. And I don't know exactly if I'm going to pull out. This one's sexual jokes, and I don't recommend that. But did you hear about the loose woman? Answer, she's been on more laps than a napkin. Did you get that one? She's been on more laps than a napkin. But as you can see, you know, jokes are real risky. It's better that you find humor in yourself, in your own embarrassing moments, and in your own personal stories. This, again, is subjective humor. These are animal noses, and you can put these on, and I'm not going to do it, but this one's a chimpanzee. I'd rather be a shark. Okay, here's a shark, okay? The kids particularly love the noses, and on the humor baskets, and from what I've learned at the different workshops in New York I went to, these are particularly good because they can also work as puppets. And in pediatric nursing, they can talk to a puppet or through a puppet much better than they can talk to a parent or a nurse. So having like noses so that they can role play and do some games are good. I don't really feel in our field of geriatric nursing, if we walked in with a shark nose on, our patients would take that very well. Yes.
Have you ever been Baker acted?
No, I have not, but I have had to do that. This is a very, very valuable folder to me. I have many of them in different, I have some for management and some for nursing. This is my own personal humor file. I recommend, and many of you, I've already given you a lot of material through the years to build your own humor files. This has been really the secret to a lot of my own personal success. Mr. Crockett doesn't really know this, but he will after today. But when I started coordinating, we didn't have things we could give out. In fact, we had nothing that we could give out, and we were starting to try and build more business in North County. It was also before we merged with the hospital's home health program. Now, I was a new coordinator, and I thought, what am I going to do to build business for this agency? So what I did is I went back to my humor. And what I have done is I put my business cards on the top of different flyers. And doctors don't have time to talk to a coordinator or sales rep of any kind. And what I do is I just drop off the flyer at the doctor's office desk through the whole clinic. And I also did it at every nurse's station, and people who've worked with me know that the nurses almost expected their flyer every week. I have a new flyer. This one is a flyer which I'll just share a couple of them, laugh a little, sentences which actually appeared in church bulletins. Ladies of the church have cast off clothing of every kind, and they've been seen in the church basement on Friday afternoon. This being Easter Sunday, we will ask Mrs. Johnson to come forward and lay an egg on the altar. But anyway, I'll tell you, that's just one. This one is a favorite. Small busted women have big hearts. I have some handouts during the break, which we're going to take in just a little while. I've got some handouts, and this one is in your handout. This is Aging is When. Your pacemaker makes the garage door go up when you watch a pretty girl go by. But as a marketing tool, the value of humor is incredible. Another personal story that happened at Meath was I had been doing this for quite a while, leaving these flyers at the different doctors' offices. And as I said, most of the people were starting to expect it. One Friday afternoon, I was extremely busy. We had referrals coming out everywhere, and I got paged. It wasn't a typical page that you'd get from social services. It was from the clinic of doctors. And I started to sweat. I thought, oh no, what's happened now? Because we're a focal point when in the hospital. If something goes wrong on the field, the coordinator's the one that hear about it. So I was already thinking negatively. I'm on the phone, and it was Dr. Kiss's office, and the office nurse says, yes, Dr. Kiss wants to talk to you. So I'm on the phone waiting for Dr. Kiss, and I'm really getting nervous at this point. And he comes on the phone, and he says, Leslie, I've had a bad week. Do you have any jokes for me? When I came back and told Mr. Crockett that, I had been paged to a doctor's office to pass on a little humor, he said that's okay as long as we got the referrals. This one came from Dr. Black's office, and I think this one is just adorable. Dr. Black, if you've never seen him, is a little bit on the rounded side, has a beard, and it's the doctor talking to the Pillsbury Doughboy. Says, you have a yeast infection. I have many, many of these. During the break, you're welcome to go through and look at them. But it is a good marketing tool. It worked very effectively. And we did build a lot of business in North County. And it wasn't me. It was through humor. I'm just sure of it. I'm going to be showing a videotape in just a moment. But one more thing is the importance of games. This is just a set of playing cards. And games are very important. It's hard for patients unless they can do some solitaire. But I want you to just think back in your mind to when you were maybe dating. And some of you still are dating, right, Joe? But when you are dating someone, you're going out and you're having fun together. You're going to movies or you're going out to dinner and you're having a good time. Right now, the statistics on divorce rates, 1 out of 3 marriages ends in a divorce. That's pretty drastic to me. And my philosophy on it is that once you get married, and believe me, I'm married too, you stop having some of the fun because you're out there working and you've got kids and you've got financial responsibilities and you don't take time to have fun anymore. So it's important that you either go bowling together or you find some activities that you and your partner can enjoy and make fun into the marriage. Some of you who came to one of the bachelorette parties learned some other ways that you can have fun in marriage too, but that's a whole nother lecture. It was one of our nurses got married and we had a lingerie party, and it was very effective. But it's important to change your routines in your marriage, and you know, I don't want to get too personal because I don't want to get in trouble. But even men, if you send home flowers, or women, if you would call your husband in the middle of the day and just say, hey, I love you, or do something that's very different. Put perfume on your sheets. Do something different. Challenge. Say, you know, you got to chase me around and tickle me or give me a joke, but make some fun. You got to have fun together. Most important is you need to plan humor every day. It doesn't just happen. You got to plan it. You got to make it and build it. I have every day of my life, every day, and I've been doing it since I was in 4th grade now, but every day I do not leave without some form of humor in my briefcase or in my pocket or in my car so that I can do something. Humor is a tool. It's not a panacea. It's a crutch, just like when someone has fallen down and needs crutches to help them walk. These tools that I've been sharing with you today are just crutches because everybody views humor differently, each of you. Some of these things you may take back and want to employ with your patients in your home life. But humor is very, very individual. It's not going to solve all the problems, but it can help you, especially in panic situations or in situations where it's very depressing and down. I've got a videotape which I'm going to show you of actually humor therapy. And the patient that I'm going to talk to you about, some of you have seen in the past. She was one of our patients about 6 years ago. I know Carolyn and I worked with her. Her name is Stella Sanford. She is legally blind and legally deaf. She has a colostomy, double mastectomies, has everything, no family, and she fell and was on the floor. This was, we weren't seeing her at this point. She was on her floor for 3 days with a broken hip because she lived alone. She had gotten the Meals on Wheels people found her and took her into the hospital. She had her hip replaced and then went to one of the nursing homes. In the nursing home, she was so hysterical because sensory perception was gone. She's blind and deaf. She was hysterical. She was so combative that they called the neighbor, they called anybody to get her out of there. She was disrupting the whole place, and they had to take her to the physical therapy department and isolate her in a room where she could just scream her lungs out because she was disrupting so many people. So they literally kicked her out of the nursing home. She does have round-the-clock care at this point, and she's been home now for 3 years. The neighbor called me, which is in the tape we're going to show, and said, what can we do? Because she's so confused, so combative, I don't know what to do with her. So I went back as a humor therapist, and you're going to see this in the little clipping that we did. But what I do with a lot of my patients, and especially Stella is one of my primary cases, I've been doing it for 3 years with her, is I hook them up with my headsets. You can go to the Dunedin Library or Clearwater Library and get talking books. They're available, and they have Abbott and Costello, Burns and Allen, a lot of comedy. Charlie Chaplin is on there. People that they can relate to. They have good tapes for us. They also have motivational tapes. Those types of things for patients who are in bed are very helpful. Pam and I have been working on a case last week. I went out. He's in bed with a spinal tumor. He cannot move. It's wrapped around. It's inoperable. The poor man is just in misery. He's got all these spastic motions while you're in there trying to work on him, and the tumor broke open while I was there, and I won't, tell you how bad it was. He's got a good sense of humor, though. And Pam had kind of warned me that he had a good sense of humor, so I have given him a challenge. He's bedridden. He's embarrassed by the fact that he cannot do anything for himself. And now I've given him a challenge to make me a tape of all of his jokes. Because while I was working with him, he started sharing some of his personal funny stories with me. So I'm anxious to go back again and retrieve it. But he's going to sit there, and this is something we can do with our oncology patients and bedbound patients, is assign them a task and let them make a cassette tape of their favorite stories. And it's very effective. At this time, I'd like to move the VCR so you all can see it. It's only a 5-minute clip of Stella Sanford and humor therapy.
Yes,
I wish I could see her.
I wish you could too.
Oh, dear.
Oh, now you remember we were up at the doctor's with your eyes,
Yes.
and he said there wasn't a whole lot he could do.
And I'm broken-hearted because I'm missing so much.
This is Stella Sanford. Stella,
Yes?
I would like to ask you about your vision.
It's not very good, dear.
How long have you been blind?
About 2 years.
About 2 years.
Yes.
And you are legally blind.
That's right. That's what the doctor claims.
And I understand that you also are deaf.
That's right.
And you have 2 hearing aids. So we've got 1 hearing aid in so you can hear me. And I
Yes.
want to put 1 more hearing aid in.
Okay, that's...
Let me just show you here for a minute, Stella, what you've got in the mail. And then I'm going to hook you up with some headphones so that you can hear some humorous material.
Thank you, dear. You're very kind.
You've got a book in the mail that is called Humor, and it's issued from the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped.
Yes.
And in this book is a listing of all of the different tapes that are available to you. I have one that I have with me right now that I want to have you listen to. And the tape that we've gotten mailed to us is Burns and Allen.
Yes.
It says 60 hilarious minutes originally aired of Burns and Allen.
That sounds good. I know I will enjoy it.
So just one moment and I want to hook you up
Okay.
so that you can hear some humorous material.
Thank you, dear. I need it.
We all need it, don't we, Stella?
That's right. We do.
Okay, Stella, I'm going to put headphones on over the
Okay.
hearing aids
Okay.
so that you can hear it.
You're very kind.
Oh, that's good. I love to see you laugh, Stella.
Dollar commission, she said $7, and then she said the dollar commission. And
Stella,
Huh?
I'm going to turn this off for just a moment, okay?
Okay.
I'll just put it on hold
okay,
so that you can get back and listen to it later.
that'll be fine.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that you used to work.
In
For the
library,
government?
the Library of Congress.
You did.
Yes.
And I want to show you the tape that this comes in. It's very easy for you, Stella. Can you open your eyes? I know you can't see,
Yes, I
but
can.
maybe from a distance and with some bright light. When you are finished with the tape, you don't even have to put a stamp on it. You can just put it in your mailbox, and they'll take it at no charge and bring you another tape.
Good.
So
That's
that,
kind.
well, we just want to have you get some other stimulation.
Okay.
Because I know it's very difficult being blind and being deaf at the same time.
Well, the Lord's been good to me. I can do a little of each now. I can see a little and I can hear a little.
Well, I'm going to and then a little later, I want to talk to you again and see how you like the tape
Okay, dear.
of George Burns and Gracie Allen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stella.
Thank you.
Stella,
Yeah.
we've just completed our first session of humor therapy. How are you feeling?
Like $1 million.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad to hear that.
I hope everybody will enjoy it as much as I have.
That was going to be my next question. Do you feel that humor therapy will be beneficial to people?
I sure do. And I hope they use it as much as I'm going to use it.
Well, we're going to start putting it into every day of your life through the cassette program that the Library of Congress has provided.
Well, how do I get that?
Well, you've already got it. We've got it started, and you'll get new tapes every day.
Well, how wonderful. I'm so grateful and appreciative that other people will be able to use it too, dear.
That's what we're going to try and do.
That's right.
Well, Stella, I'll be seeing you tomorrow.
I
And
hope.
keep smiling.
Okay. I'll be grinning.
That's wonderful.
There's a program that if you have patients, you need to contact Gloria or myself, and we'll find out if we can get some talking books to these patients that are not legally blind, that are nearly legally blind, that might qualify. In the meantime, if you have patients that need some other stimulation similar to the talking books, go to your local libraries. I don't know if many of you have ever heard of Norman Cousins. He was the editor of the Saturday Review for many years. Now he's with UCLA out in California. He is our one clinically documented case of a patient that went under humor therapy. He had a degenerative arthritic disease affecting the spinal cord. He was in the hospital and given 1 out of 500 chance of survival. He became very upset about the fact that he was being pumped with IVs and pain medications, and so he talked with his doctor, signed himself out of the hospital, went into a hotel room, got a VCR, and surrounded himself with Marx Brothers, candid camera movies, and any kind of humor stimulus to make him laugh. Now, he did more than the 15 seconds that we did today. He would go into periods of hysterical laughter for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Now, think about how much exercise that does to your body. But the most exciting part about Norman Cousins is that they drew his blood before he had the episodes of laughter therapy, and then again after. And I do highly recommend that if you have an opportunity that you read this book, Anatomy of an Illness. He has another one he has written called The Healing Heart. Both of them are very, very good. But I just want to point out to you the scientific data which he has provided to us. And when they drew his blood before, the blood chemistry, his sedimentation rate readings were very, very high. After the laughter episodes, they dropped at least 5 points each time, and the level stayed down. He is now alive and well, not taking any pain medications, and speaking around the country. This happened in about the 1960s, and we're just now, it's the 1980s, that we're able to get the documentation, and people like myself are trying to promote the positive power that humor can play with our patients. Who are some of the favorite comedians? Anybody got a favorite? Red Skeleton, good. Any other ones? Peter Sellers? Robin Williams. Johnny Carson's very funny. How about Irma Bombeck?
Oh, yeah.
Irma Bombeck. Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett. Bob Hope. Bill Cosby. Great. Great. Any personal stories that are fun? Anybody? I heard you some laughing back over here. Doug, do you have a good story?
About our normal way of life.
Your normal way of life. Well, that's pretty funny. Carolyn, how about you?
Why can't we remember? I never, like I told him, I never tallied my highs and lows. So now you taught me today to tally them.
That's
So
right. Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. I want to tell you all that I just really, really have enjoyed the openness and the fun that we've all had today. And I hope that it has been educational as well as entertaining for all of you. I hope that the seeds that I have planted will take root. I want you to go back and first of all improve and enhance the quality of your own life, but pass it on to the patients that we try so hard to make better. That's our job as nurses. We're out there to try and make people feel a little bit better. But I challenge you to go and start putting humor, planning humor every day of your life, and I guarantee you will see a difference. The most successful people are people who have a very good sense of humor. Abraham Lincoln started every cabinet meeting with humor before they started their program for the day. He sat around a round table, and they started with the local comedians of the time telling some stories. You look at the Kennedys. President Kennedy had 8 books called The Kennedy Wit. And we all know Ronald Reagan, who's our current president, had been a comedian for years before. But I just wanted to point out that very successful people and the best leaders in the community are those people who have a good sense of humor. First of all, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Don't take life so seriously. As you know, we have gotten the course approved by the Florida State Board, And in closing, I wanted to let you all in on something very special, and that is we've gotten the best approval that we could possibly get. And that is 4 out of 5 doctors recommend healthy humor. Thank you very much.
Yeah.